Hi everyone, and welcome. We're just starting. I see everyone's Zoom is letting everyone in. So I'll just give it a couple of moments and then I guess we'll start. Yeah, typically for a birding webinar, the birds are not cooperating. So in the last 10 minutes, we've been watching Yoav, our director of birding, try to convince the pelicans to stay in one place. So hopefully they'll appear in a bit. But okay, amazing. We've got lots of people here. So I'm just going to say, first of all, I'm going to introduce myself. My name is Lawrence Kazmir, and I work in the Society for the Protection of Nature Israel's fundraising team. Many of you might remember me from webinars a few years ago. I recently returned to work at SPNI again, and I'm delighted to because it's a cause and an organization I'm so passionate about. So today is a slightly special webinar. It's the first English language presentation, which is part of SPNI's ongoing emergency response to the current war. Currently, the vast majority of the country is experiencing some type of trauma. And for many, it's dangerous or difficult to leave the house. It's times like this where spending quality time in nature is more important than ever. I myself am a father of 2 children. I'm trying to work full-time for SPNI, raising money for our emergency response, while my wife is working as a doctor at a major hospital. I can tell you from personal experience that the moments I get walking my youngest child from place to place or spending time playing with him in the park are a literal breath of fresh air for me. For other families like myself, SPNI has been broadcasting a series of lectures over the last week about nature, which is suitable for all ages. These give parents like me the opportunity to distract our young children with high quality educational programming and give them a small dose of the therapeutic and restorative power of nature. We also have lectures for slightly older children and adults. For instance, tonight at 6 p.m, there's a Hebrew language lecture on identifying animal footprints. But as I said at the beginning, this webinar today is part of our emergency broadcast. And this is the first one in the English language. For the many Israelis who are Anglos like me, who struggle with Hebrew, I recognize many names on this webinar from people who I've been bird watching with in the last year in real life with Alen and her Jerusalem Birdwatching Club. I know many of you are here. I hope you're all doing well. I'm looking forward to joining you to watch some of the birds because I have none in my house with me. As I'm pretty sure everyone here knows, October is the height of the birding migration. Nature isn't going to stop because of some rockets. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce our host for tonight, which is Alen Kakal, who is in Jerusalem, who's our Director of International Birding Tourism. And so Alen, over to you, and goodbye from me.
Hi everyone, and welcome from around the world. We'd love to hear who's joining us, so please send us in chat where you're logging in from, and say hi to us so we can tell who's out there and where you are. So with me today, in addition to Lawrence, who's going to be doing some back office stuff with us, is Avner Rinot over at the Jerusalem Bird Observatory, and we have Noam Weiss down in Eilat. A nice surprise, he's able to join us today. And we hopefully will have Yoav Perlman joining us with the surprise also in a few minutes. So welcome. We have Tennessee, Holland, Mexico, Cape Cod. Hi, Judith from Cape Cod, Barbara from Toronto, Washington, USA. Well, you guys are up early this morning. And then, of course, people from all over Israel, Pennsylvania. We have people from Uzbekistan. Fantastic. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We're so happy to have you guys with us right now. So without further ado, I think, Avner, hang on a second. We're going to just jump down to Noam and Eilat because he's got some pretty cool birds walking around down there. Noam?
Okay, so welcome everybody to Eilat. It's probably the safest place in the country right now. We have lots of birds. It's really tranquil here. It's not the real picture because the city has about 50,000 people that were evacuated from the fighting zones, relaxing in the city, having good time, watching birds, and the bird sanctuary is proud to be their time of happiness in nature. And you can see our flamingos. This is so full of hope to see young flamingos born just this year. They have not been born here. They've been born in Turkey or Iran, but they are on migration towards Africa, stopovering right here at the Eilat Bird Sanctuary. These are amazing creatures. You see how they feed, how they dance with their legs to float all the food, and then with their bill, they are filtering the shrimps, the tiny shrimps, the brine shrimps that are in the water, that keeps them happy, not hungry, and very, very pink. So as you can see, these flamingos are not as pink as you might expect. As I said, these are really young birds, maybe just 3 or 4 months, months old, and they are having good time here. Maybe you can see behind them running all the time all kinds of shorebirds like the little stins or the red shanks. These are very different birds. Maybe I'll try to show one. Yeah, here is one. So these are very different birds. These are shorebirds, waders that are coming from the Arctic area, Arctic regions, and you can see little stints there, and some red shanks are around, and some ruffs are running around, and these birds are on active migration from the Arctic Circle towards South Africa. This is really exciting to see birds flying such huge distances, and this ruff is enjoying the vicinity of the flamingo because the flamingo is actually floating the food for it. So it's some kind of cooperation between the two. Flamingo is floating the food, ruff comes and eat it. The ruff steers the water sometimes so they can enjoy from the activity of each other. So this pond is also pretty interesting. It's a salt pond for production of salt. It's not nature. And it has a double use. One, production of salt from seawater, evaporated. And the other one is it's a bird sanctuary supporting lots of migrants here to stop oversight and fuel. Flock of little stin just arrived, you can see, just now. They showed up from nowhere. And these tiny bugs are coming from also the Arctic Circle. They weigh 20 grams. Here is a ring plover too. And you see they landed on the dike, and now they run to the water to look for some food. Maybe or probably, see, these guys are gonna spend this afternoon feeding, and then in 2 hours they'll be already on their way, migrating south. They have a big challenge south of us. They'll be crossing the Sahara Desert. It's about 2,000 miles wide without food. So that's a real challenge. So with this tranquility of Eilat, we are out of the risk here. We are here to serve birds, serve people. All the villages of our region, all the kibbutzim are full of people that were evacuated. My village, Be'er Ora, is about 1,000 people. And it's a very sad and painful time, but at the same time, it's a very beautiful time to be in Israel and to see how people work in these times of distress. So from peaceful Eilat, back to you, Alan.
Thanks, Noam. I'm going to send us now to Yoav. Yoav is in Kfar Harif, which is down on the plains of Israel, plains below the hills here, sort of between the hills of Jerusalem and the coastline. And I'm handing it over to you, Yoav. Can we hear you?
Hey, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I really apologize. I had some technical difficulties. We are not far away from an Air Force base, and I think that they're disturbing some of the frequencies and the communication here. Anyway, so in a water reservoir near Moshav Kfar Harif in central Israel, we have a huge flock of pelicans here. Actually, just before the Zoom started, we had an even larger flock that many of them have taken off to continue on migration. But still, there are several hundreds that are here, reservoir fishing. I hope that you can see them swimming. There are fish in this reservoir, still quite a few hundreds. I'm keeping distance from them because to flush them, some have already taken off. So I don't want to disturb others. I want them to feed in peace. There was a flock of almost 2,000 pelicans here, which is approximately 5% of the world population, the great white pelicans that migrate to Danube Delta by the Black Sea, and they're migrating to the Great Lakes of East Africa, Lake Victoria, and sources of the Nile River. And up here and here in this part of Israel, last shot, continue their migration. Okay. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we hear you. Yeah, we lose you a little bit, but we can still hear you.
Okay. So yeah, it's still pretty awesome to see so many pelicans here. There are other birds in the reservoir as well. You can see some are taking off now. Maybe they'll try to continue migrating a bit longer today. Some, oh, I have a flock coming towards us. Let's see if I can catch them in the scope.
And you have these guys are just arriving from Africa, right?
They're spending a few days here. Now, so that
Yoav, we're losing your audio.
Alem, why don't you explain, because Yoav's audio isn't great.
So we're losing Yoav's audio, so I'm going to take over from him until he has it back. So these flocks are coming in, flying up from. Actually, sorry, they're not flying from Africa. They're flying to Africa at this time of year. I forgot what season I'm in at this point in time. And they will be flying across Israel and heading south. I should point out that these birds are large birds flying in large flocks, so they actually present a certain amount of danger for our planes that are operating right now. One of these birds can do a lot of damage to a fighter jet and other planes. So the Army will be keeping an eye on these birds along with bird watchers across the country to make sure that they can tell the pilots where to look out for them and to avoid them, because we don't want to cause any collisions as they come through. So we're going to, Yoav, I'm going to jump out from here now, and I'm going to take us back to the Jerusalem, where Avner has a small.
Avner, show us your map. You were so excited to show us the map of where the birds migrate.
Yes, so we're going to go back to Avner to see the map, and then he's got a little bird to show us as well. So this is the map of migration, showing the bottleneck that happens as the birds come south out of Europe, out of Asia, filter through Israel, filter through the bottleneck of Eilat, and then out into Africa. And that's happening all through the fall as we speak. And in the spring, we'll see all these birds come back through here on their way north as well. So Avner is holding a little bird that is on migration. Avner, you're going to have to unmute. And these little guys are also headed south. So I'm handing you over to Avner. All yours, Avner.
Okay, hello everybody. So we are here doing also, like in Eilat, bird banding, and we open the nets for you also afternoon. This morning we had a bit more than 80 birds in the nets that we tag with small rings. Okay, you can see on the leg of the bird. Okay, and this bird is also a migratory passerine, small songbird, named redstart, okay, because of this tail, the reddish orange tail, okay. This is young male redstart, beautiful passerine. This is the most numerous passerine here now. Okay, it's very common. We tagged this morning more than 20 individuals of the species. It's beautiful species. You can see the head is like gyroscope when I move the bird, because these birds eat mostly insects, which will be very focused on these insects. Okay, it's not the most beautiful male, because the adult males have like a thin black chin and a white front and the orange belly, but still beautiful bird. And we have a lot of it here. Okay, and they call anywhere, like
Avner, what are you expecting it to do? It's like in your hand. It can't like come to you.
in my hand, it will not respond. So I tag this bird, I measure it, and I will show you how I do that with another bird, because this bird in my hand a long time. So I will release it now. Bye-bye. So here I have the most common bird we have here, the black-cap warbler, male. The female have a orange or gingy, we call it, like a brown-orange kippa. This is the most common bird in Israel, and it's very unique because the bird have kippa, like the super Orthodox people, black kippa. Okay, so it's really nice. And here we have female black-cap. You can see the difference between the male and female. Okay, male and female. Okay, we already tagged the bird. I will show you which measurements we take from the birds. First of all, I check if it's an adult or young bird. Okay, so this one is adult. Okay, and then we take some measurements, like in young children's, the wing length, 78, tail length, 64, fat, 3. Okay, and then I check the weight of the bird.
Does anybody want to guess how much a black-cap warbler weighs? You can throw it up on the, it's a common redstart, is not related to an American redstart warbler. They're completely different families. So someone guessed 100 grams, 15 grams, 10 grams, 20 grams.
20
so
grams,
who's
very
closest?
close, 18 grams.
18 grams. And does
And
this
this is
bird
with
have
fat, yeah?
This is with fat, yeah. So birds, as they are going to cross the Sahara Desert now, they come into the Jerusalem Bird Observatory or into Eilat, and they spend some time eating, and they eat and they eat and they eat, and they store fat in various places on their chest. Here's a diagram, and you can see the hollow that's under their throat. And these this fat is going to carry them through the Sahara Desert. It's going to provide them with energy and with water as they travel south through the desert. so the black-cap warblers come to the Jerusalem Bird Observatory. There's plants that have been planted with all sorts of fruit and flowers, and they attract insects. There's a lot for them to eat so that they can stock up on this fat. And we like to say that within in a short week to 10 days, they can sometimes almost double their body weight, which is pretty fascinating.
I swapped to Noam because I want to see what he has, but Noam actually also has a red start. So Noam, I'm going to ask you, before you talk about the red start, to answer one question which we had, which is, how do you know whether it's an adult or a juvenile?
Okay, so
I'm going to bounce to him now.
So this is a pretty advanced question. So this is another red start, which is interesting because in Jerusalem they're pretty abundant now, and also here in Eilat they're abundant because there are hundreds of thousands of them probably passing right now through Israel. How do you know the age of the bird? So before migration, birds do molt. They change their feathers. They get new feathers. So their migration would be efficient. Good feathers, new feathers, good quality will take them far and with less energy. Therefore, the adult ones that are experienced and they are good hunters, they can catch lots of insects, they replace all their flight feathers, 100%, which means that if I open the wings, I can see that it is all one generation, okay? One generation of feathers, which means this is an adult. If it's the young birds are not that experienced. They don't have the experience and even the time to get all their feathers replaced, all their flight feathers. This is why you sometimes see that some of these feathers are not replaced. So you can see some contrast between new feathers that have managed to grow in order to fly to Africa, and some older feathers from the nest that are with poor quality. Sometimes coloration is a bit duller. So this is how we can tell the age of these beautiful birds. And it's amazing that we have both of them down here. I don't remember what the FET score, how much fuel this bird had in Jerusalem. I can check here. We blow on their chest to check how much fat they have in their chest, which is actually their fuel tank. And this bird is pretty loaded with fat. So in Jerusalem, usually they are not that fat.
Noam, you just went.
You muted yourself, so
yeah, there we go.
But from Eilat, it's a different story. From here, they have to fly all the way to Ethiopia, and this is 3 days and nights of flight non-stop. So they better have good stock of fat and good feathers, of course. So
no, how much did you say this guy had? How much has this red start still got?
We call it 4. So,
he's fattened up even more since Jerusalem, is what you're saying.
Yes. Usually we have more fatted in Jerusalem. It just has more energy. We also have a lot of food here, but also Jerusalem is an awesome place for birds. So I will just let this one go away. Continue its journey.
Okay, all right, let's go. I guess we're back to Avner, who has a bird.
Yeah, we'll go back to Avner.
It's really boring. So
yeah,
get interesting.
And Avner, there's a question about what is it that we're marking the birds with? Can you show us some of the rings?
yeah, I can show you like a big ring. Okay, you can see on this ring you have like a number, you have number like ID number, every bird got it, and the size of the ring, and also the address of the Israeli Bird Ringing Center. Okay, this is what we have in every ring.
That ring looks pretty big for that bird though, right?
Yeah, this rings mostly for cranes, storks, that size, that we tag only in the nest, very rarely in Israel. We don't use it a lot. And here I have lesser white throat. the second most common passerine in Israel after the blackcap. Okay, also a warbler, grayish warbler, not like the beautiful New World warblers that you have in the US, in all the Americas. Here we have grayish warblers, most of them. Okay, so this is a lesser whitethroat that in Hebrew we call the muller bird warbler. The
Miller,
warbler.
as in Miller, Miller.
Yeah.
And,
Okay,
and the reason for that is
white,
he's covered
yes.
with the white of the flower, like the miller would have been covered with the white of the flower all down his chest.
Mhm.
Very
So
cool.
this is also the most numerous bird we have with rings from abroad. We have the highest score of lesser whitethroat with rings from Europe, mostly from Eastern Europe countries like Poland, like Czech Republic, like Latvia, Lithuania, like that. Okay, so this is a lesser whitethroat, feeding now mostly on fruits of buckthorn and Palestine pistachio tree. The sugar will go to the fat, and then the bird can double its body weight in a week, something like that. Okay, you know the sentence "eat like a bird," it's false. Okay, only that kind of birds, the passerines, can eat. They can double their body weight. Okay, and the other birds also, like waders, they can even triple their body weight when they stop and feed, because after that they should do like a few thousands of kilometers without any stop. Okay.
And I just want to just add the question about the rings. We put a small aluminum ring on the birds. These are not satellite tags or geotags of any kind. The only way to recover the information for this bird is if it comes to somewhere else in the world and it's caught and the tag is red, then we know that the bird has gone to that country. There are different other ways to tag birds, and many countries are starting to use different electronic tags. They still cost a lot of money, and they're a little more difficult to use. So this method is the simplest and most commonest method used. And I know there's some questions about why we do this. We'll come back to that in a second. Meanwhile, Avner, what have you got in your hand?
No, let's go to Yoav. I think he's got some dice. He's got
I have the symbol of the JBO, Jerusalem Bird Observatory, the bulbul, spectacle bulbul. Okay, you see the spectacle around the eyes, white spectacles, and the
Fantastic.
yellow vent. Okay.
And this is one of the most common garden birds in Israel.
Yeah, in every garden you can find this bird. Okay.
Fantastic.
They really like villages with big gardens. They can see anywhere in Israel almost. Even in the middle of the desert, in valleys with some trees and bushes. They eat also a variety of food source, like seeds, like insects, small fruits, and even food from humans. Okay, so
Great.
This is the
Okay, we're just going to quickly, thank you, Avner. We're going to quickly jump to Yoav. Yoav, are you able to speak?
Hi.
I see you have some stuff in the scope.
Yeah, let's try. Can you hear me?
We can.
Okay, I'm sorry about my previous position. There were some serious disturbances there, I think, by the military, who are blocking all kinds of frequencies. We're quite close to the Gaza Strip where we are now, and there certainly is tension in the area. So I moved a few kilometers away to a small reservoir. Maybe I'll disconnect from the scope. I'll give you a better view of where I am. So this is the pond where I am, near Kfar Menachem. So it's still in central Israel. There are quite many ducks here. different ducks and other water birds. These are Eurasian coots. Just now a marsh harrier passed by and quite a few ducks jumped in the air. There's still a Eurasian teal there. There still are some birds up in there, and I'm sure that they'll land soon. So yeah, it's the marsh harrier's fault, but soon I think they'll be back. So anyway, what we have here in the scope are Eurasian coots. They are relatives of the American coot, black with a white bill and white forehead. They are winter, well, few breed here, but bigger numbers arrive here in winter. The winter in Israel is quite mild. Good weather here, long countries. So we have quite large waterfowl, ducks and coots and other birds that come to spend the winter here. And many of them use the water reservoirs here in the Judean plains. I suggest that you move to Noam or to Ner, and if I see more birds dropping in, I'll let you know.
Right,
But
Yoav,
before we do that, Yoav, there was a question about disturbance by what's going on in Israel right now to the migrating birds, the sounds of the planes and everything that's going on. Do you see that there's an effect on the birds?
Actually, I don't know. I live very close to an Air Force base in Mazkeret Batya. I think there's a direct effect, maybe indirect, but I think, it's been going on for a few days. I have been watching birds where I'm staying, and I think they're quite used to this noise already. Certainly when there are explosions, it does disturb the birds, but I think they're quite okay. I guess there's some fires that started from landing and, that destroys habitat. But I don't think it's a large scale effect at the moment. Certainly what we can see is, the whole country is shut down, and it's very difficult to continue our work in conservation. Many of the planning committees start working with the agencies are working with are doing other things. So it's more difficult nature conservation. So that's sort of a direct effect of the war. But directly, I guess, there are some areas where the tension is, more intensive. So certainly there are direct effects, but where I am in the center of Israel, less so.
Thank you.
Thanks, Yoav. I saw a real duck float past, but your job now, Yoav, is to find the hen harrier, the marsh harrier. And we'll go to Noam, who's holding a bird very patiently in front of the camera. And I hope it's a rarity.
Okay, so welcome back to Eilat. With me are Netanel and Haneli. Haneli from Germany and Netanel from Yael. And also Ori is here. And Ori comes from Kfar Blum, which is less than a mile from the Lebanese border. And he arrives here to Eilat to enjoy nature and to enjoy Eilat, beautiful desert and sun. And he loves birds. He just loves the birds. And we believe that our theory of change, how to change reality, that it will be better for birds, is to connect people and birds. Connecting people and birds will change our reality. People appreciate birds, they will want to save them and conserve them. And one of our way is, Ori, do you רוצה לשחרר את הציפור? So we will let Ori have the bird on his hand. The bird is relaxed and happy. Huh? It flew off. And this is yes. So this is a lot of, this is our job here, to actually create appreciation to birds, and they understand bird migration. And here the people arrive to be relieved from the war zones, fighting zones, and have fun. And this is Haneli here, which is coming to us from Germany. She's a professional ringer. And she's ringing, what do you ring, Haneli, right now? A willow warbler, which I always say is the strongest animal in the forest, because the willow warblers come from Northern Europe all the way to Southern Africa. It's a pretty amazing bird. So it already got a ring, and Haneli is typing the data into the computer, which anyone can see right now. It's on a cloud. She will be making sure the ring is in good shape, is comfortable for the bird. It doesn't weigh almost anything. The bird is not hurt from it at all. And there will be a few measurements, and then it will be released once again. I want to take you to a short tour to
So Noam,
yes,
there's a couple questions.
yes, I'm here.
One question is, how do you catch the birds? And the
Okay.
second question is, why do we do this to the birds? What are we trying to
Okay.
learn?
So bye, Ori. Thank you very much.
We'll go on to walk the park.
Yes, enjoy the bird sanctuary.
Thank you.
So I will answer these two questions. But first of all, look at our ringing station, how it looks like. This is Shachar. Shachar, wave the people. He gave 1 year of his life for bird protection, volunteering, pre-army volunteering. Why do we catch the birds? For one reason only, to help them. We are studying the physical condition of birds and then adjust our management of the bird sanctuary to the real needs of the birds. So if we find that willow warblers are in bad physical shape, let's say in autumn, we know we need to take care of more small insects, maybe some pollen to support their migration. And each bird, of course, comes in a different time. So if the willow warblers peak around the end of September, beginning of October, we have to make sure that we have vegetation that will give these birds enough food. This is the willow warbler, and I think it's ready to go, Haneli, so you can just let it go. And nature conservation is done by changing public opinion, but it must be based on data. It must be based on science and monitoring. So we act.
Noam? We seem to have lost Noam's connection. So I'm going to take us back to Avner. Avner, do you have any birds to show us right now?
I don't have birds yet.
Okay.
Maybe soon, few minutes.
Do you want to talk to them a little bit about how we catch the birds? What's the process that we use?
We have here a special nets called mist nets. Okay, it's like an unseen nets, very thin nets from plastic. We open the nets between the bushes. Okay, like, every net we have here, it's 12 meters long and like 3 meters high. We open it between branches, and then the birds cross the area between the bushes and catch in the nets. Okay, every net have like 5 pockets of net, and then we go around the nets. We take the birds out from the net, put them in special cotton bags. They can breathe here. It's dark, the bird relax here, and then we put them out, tag them, measure the birds, and then release the birds back to nature. Okay, and you can see every birding park or monitoring site have like different net sites, and the sites need to be accurate. Like every time we put the same nets in the same sites, and like that we're doing the database. Like we see the difference between year after year and season after season, and we look out what the bird need in every season. You can see here the map of the JBO nets, which habitat the bird need to live, and stuff like that. And then we can do like urban nature planning if it's in the city, or even in national parks. Okay, in the open, not only in the cities. And it's really good thing for us to know.
For those of you who haven't been to the Neely and David Jerusalem Bird Observatory, it's a small 1-acre site located right in the middle of the city of Jerusalem. in the government center. So it's a little pocket park that is one of the most important stopover sites in the area. And I see Chaim coming in with some new birds, but let's bounce back to Noam for a second.
No, Yoav's
Yoav's got a bird. All right, let's see
Yoav's got a
what
bird.
Yoav. Has he got that harrier that you wanted?
It's a relative of the harrier. It's a kestrel, Eurasian kestrel. The small falcon, perched. Can you hear me? All right.
Yep.
Yeah, we can hear you, but I'm glad you said it's a kestrel, not a pigeon, because I'd be very disappointed.
It's a bit distant, but you know, I'm really doing my best here. Yeah, so it's the smallest birds of prey we have here in Israel. They are resident, quite widespread, even in urban areas in the country. There are some migratory populations. In winter, we certainly get migrants from northern countries. This bird here, I guess it's from a local population. They feed mainly on reptiles, arthropods, lizards, and other small reptiles. This one is sat on top of a banana plantation that's covered by a protective net. And it's looking down towards the reservoir, looking for its next meal. It is, as I said, it's a bit far away, but I hope you can see something on your screens. So that's a Eurasian kestrel. In Hebrew, baz matsui.
Nice. Okay, let's jump down to Noam. I think
who's got the
maybe
most
he
harm?
has...
And who's got? Let's make this more interesting. Who's got the most interesting bird? Okay, on the Lawrence.
I'm
scale.
going back to Noam because I have a feeling about what he might be pulling out. Let's take a look. What you got there,
Reputation's
Noam?
on the line.
It's a barn swallow.
Oh, that is a nice bird.
Yes, the barn
We
swallow.
don't get a lot of those in Jerusalem.
Yes, so barn swallows are amazing birds. See how long the wings are. It's amazing. And their tail is usually very long, but that's a younger bird, so that the streamers are not long enough. And the red, there has a orangey red patch on their throat. But what is most amazing with these birds is the bill is so small, yet the mouth is huge. I won't open the mouth because it has its rights, this bird, but it is has a huge mouth. And why does it need to have such long wings and such a huge mouth? Because they feed on flying insects. They feed on mosquitoes and on flies, and they are our best friends because they are like pest controllers for us. And we actually do some research with the farmers in our region. And one of the worst pests in melons and pumpkins are the white flies. White flies are kind of aphids that are flying above the crop. They feed under the leaves, but they fly on top of the leaves too. And when they have a lot of that, the farmers have two choices. One, to bring in some swallows to feed on these white flies, or to use pesticides, which is poison and damaging their crops. So this is our best friend, actually, the farmer's best friend. And if you live in a city with mosquitoes, so it's the same thing. It's a long-range migrant too, going probably deep into Africa. And if you are fortunate to have a nest of a swallow in your house, please keep it because it's eating your mosquitoes. So these are really beautiful birds. As you've seen before, the bird sanctuary is now evening time here and people already left, but it's full of people that were evacuated from the fighting zones. And they are coming here to enjoy, relax, and see these beautiful birds and enjoy a little bit of nature. So we are happy to be at their service here and to be normal for a change, to have something normal happening.
And Noam, what happens if you catch a bird that has a ring on it already? Someone is asking.
We just record it. A bird which already has a ring is being recorded again into the computer. If it is ours from a few days ago, from a few years ago, it's an important data because it can show us that the bird is still alive. And also we can follow how much fat and weight it has been accumulating here in Eilat before crossing the Sahara Desert. This is very important data to know if the bird is actually successful in getting the energy it needs right here in Eilat to cross the desert. If it is from abroad, so we are happy because it doesn't happen every day. We report it to the ringing station that caught the bird originally. We don't put another ring, it keeps its original one. And then that's it, it goes on to its way. In the past, ringing was the main way to follow birds to understand their migration routes. I think today they are so tiny transmitters that weigh 0.4 grams that you can put on a bird and it will signal us its exact location all the time. That ringing has a little bit lost its charm understanding migration routes, but ringing is still a very important tool for monitoring the physical condition of the birds. So this is why we keep doing that.
Thank you,
Alan?
Noam.
I will say
Yes.
Noam, that Alan and Noam, that was an excellent choice to go to Noam, because I think I've done like about a dozen of these, and I think that's the first barn swallow that we've ever caught on one of these.
Oh, you should come more often to Eilat, Lawrence. We miss you.
Please God, I'll be allowed to one day.
Well, let's bounce back up to Jerusalem where they don't catch barn swallows. Barn swallows fly pretty high usually, and so in the Jerusalem Bird Observatory, they don't usually come down low enough to be caught in the nets. Let's see what Avner and Chaim have. I can see a red start.
Yeah, male and female red start.
Male and female, very beautiful.
Like, just to show the difference between male and female. In many birds, there are a difference between male and female birds. Okay, the male have colorful colors, like this one with black chin, orange belly, white here in the forehead, in front. And the female is really brown, only the tail left reddish, okay? Like red stars. These birds also have like huge eyes. You can see, maybe in the female, you can see the eyes very big. All the flycatchers and the robins, thrushes have big eyes. They live in the forests, places they can need to find small insects. And if they have big eyes, they can see better. So these birds have really big eyes, and it's very common here now. And here in Jerusalem Mountain, they feed mostly on the Palestine pistachio tree, the most important bush we have here. And most of the birds we catch now, it's between these bushes. Okay, so this is a European red start.
And Avner, some of our, yes, yep,
Sorry,
you are.
can I comment? Yes, can I comment something about the red start?
Yeah,
Okay, so the red start belongs to a very, very, very special group of birds that are the trans-Saharan migrants. So it's a whole group of species that endure these huge, huge, huge migrations from the breeding grounds in Europe, across the Sahara, across the huge barriers into Africa. And most of these species, like the common red start, like the willow warbler, and like the barn swallow, are all threatened by different threats, and many of them are suffering significant decline in their global population. We are seeing these drops in numbers in Israel too. Still, many of our birds come from areas where there still are good populations, but certainly in Western Europe, these populations are suffering from huge decline. Especially red start and willow warbler are two species that are really of significant conservation threat. And that's why it's so important to monitor the birds in Jerusalem, in Eilat, because what happens in Israel on migration is a representation of what happens on a very, very larger scale across the breeding ground. So it's really important to keep monitoring in Israel.
Yeah, and also
Absolutely.
here we look for we really worried about the subspecies Samamicicus, the Southeast subspecies of the red start that breed along the Caucasus, low Caucasus mountains, Turkey, Iran. They decline really in decline in the Jerusalem Bird Observatory. We see them less and less every year. But the common red start still we have in big numbers, not like in the past maybe, but we really worried about the Samamicicus subspecies, the white-winged or Ehrenberg's red start, you can call it.
Thank you. Noam, do you have something down in Eilat to show us?
We always have something down here.
Ah, there we go. Who's this guy?
That's a little grebe, and it's a very cute bird. It's so small, size of a blackbird or a thrush, and it's diving for fish. They are pretty amazing, like a puffed ball of feathers. And the most amazing thing about these guys is when they dive, they stay dry. They are not wet at all. This is how they keep the body temperature by having a hot air between their feathers and their body. And this is when they go out of the water, they also they can fly immediately because they are not heavy, they are not wet at all. And these little grebes are with us all year round. They are rare breeders in Eilat. In the rest of the country, they are more common. Oh, 3 of them right now. And they like to fish, scream at each other, and fight. That's their thing. They are really lovely birds here in the lake. We are now located in Anita's Lake. Anita's Lake is our freshwater lake. Actually, it's not really fresh. It is saline water. It is actually the wastewater of the desalination factory. It's clean water with some minerals and a little bit of salt and a lot of nitrogen, which is bad for our coral reef. So by taking the water from the desalination factory, we are doing 2 things. One, we are creating fantastic habitat for water birds and for birds who like their reed beds. And at the same time, we mitigate the pollution of water from the desalination factory, because for the birds, this nitrogen is amazing, it's great. But for the coral reef, it's deadly. It would create algae, no sun on the corals, and it all dies. So this way we are taking this water in, using them for the sake of birds and nature, and at the same time protect the coral reef and also absorbs lots of carbon. So this lake is very, very important here for many, many reasons. And it's also the place where we see the birds. You can see how we see the birds in Eilat from a hide, okay? So here the birds are in the light and we are in the dark, which means we are hidden. This way the birds can use all the habitat. They hardly see us. We do not disturb them. And at the same time, we can enjoy seeing the birds pretty close to us. So this is an interesting infrastructure that is now in almost every bird sanctuary. Also, you can see our walls are made of bamboos, which are insect hotels. These bamboos are a place for the bumblebee to breed. So in summer, it's all buzzing and moving all the time. People don't understand why. It's the young bees getting ready to fledge. So this is a beautiful Anita's Lake. You can see the mountains in Jordan. Wonder what's going on there. And this is Eilat. A marsh area is passing above the lake. I don't know if you can see it. It's passing above us. And this is the last hour and a half of flight. So the birds are gonna soon be very, very busy foraging before their night migration. towards Africa.
Noam, the Mars Harrier was quite far away. Can you like call it to come a bit closer? That'd
I
be
can
really cool.
try calling it, but it would sound ridiculous on the webinar if I make this
So
call.
I'll mute you while you do it. It's fine. We have like 5 minutes to the top of the hour, which I don't know whether we're planning to go a bit longer because this is so lovely. But I welcome everyone to fire in their questions, preferably in the Q&A in the last few minutes.
Lawrence, I'm taking us from the beautiful Anita Lake in Eilat to the pond at the Jerusalem Bird Observatory, which is much smaller in size, but just as valuable as an important. It's a little oasis in the middle of the city. You can see in the background, you can see some skyscrapers, but you can come and sit in the bird hide. It's open 24/7 for people to come and enjoy a piece of nature in the middle of the city. And Avner, if you can scan to the left, yes, you can see the little waterfall that's there. So there's a sound of water, which attracts the birds as well as calms the soul when you're sitting there. It's an important place. Jerusalem is on the edge of the desert, basically. So when there is water, it becomes a very important place for the birds to come. They do need to drink, and they like to keep clean, so we have them coming in to bathe as well. And you can see the bird hide that we have on the edge of the pond, where people can come and sit and enjoy and photograph and bird watch and meditate and do whatever they choose. Like I said, open 24/7 a day. And
Alan, you got or Avner even any turtles at the moment, or are they gone to hibernate or whatever they do?
They haven't hibernated yet, but they might be hard to pick out at the end of the day. They sometimes disappear when it starts to cool down. It is getting a little bit cooler in Jerusalem, not terribly cold, but enough that they've probably headed to bed already.
No, go on then.
Yep. It is getting towards the end of the day, so the sun is disappearing from the pond area, and birds are starting to look for that last food before they head out to find a place to stay for the night. To sleep for the night.
I would just say for anyone interested, there's a nice resident population of porcupines and hedgehogs at the JBO for those interested, and you can see them from the hide at evening. Right, Yoav has found my second favorite great white animal in the world after the shark. So we'll go back to the pelicans.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, it's a bit windy where I am, but I hope you'll still be able to hear me. So I returned to the first place where I was. There still are quite many pelicans here. Some have moved a bit closer. You can actually see them in fishing motion. They're sort of trying to group fish, like to surround them and group them. There are fish that are being stocked in this reservoir, maybe to reduce the mosquito load in the near area, and the pelicans are certainly utilizing that. So yeah, still there are some nice numbers of pelicans, and it's very cool to see them from so close.
I want to just have one programming note, and I want to come back to Yoav because I don't think I understood what he said. Alan, it's the top of the hour, so some people are going to leave. Are we going to do this again at some point?
So that's a good question. I will say that we had a regularly scheduled program to be done on the 5th of November, and I'm hoping that we'll still be able to do that on the 5th of November. This particular broadcast is part of a series that we started already last Monday, immediately after the horrible events of October 7th. We realized that we needed to help people who were stuck home from school or in stuck in their homes, to provide some content and some chance to relax from what's going on. And so we decided to do one in English. We've been doing them in Hebrew all week, but we wanted to reach out to friends here in Israel who are English speakers and also friends overseas to give them a chance to also participate. And this is sponsored by SPNI as part of our emergency response. And Noam referred to the great numbers of refugees that are down in Eilat right now, who have been evacuated from different parts of the country. The Society for the Protection of Nature in Israel, SPNI, has opened up the field schools in Eilat and in Mitzpe Ramon, and hopefully in other areas as needed, free of charge to families that needed a place to stay. And we are in the middle of a fundraising campaign to try to help cover all the costs needed. These people are getting free room, board, all meals, and we are also providing educational and activities and providing help to all the families with whatever they are needing across the board. They're there with their pets, and so we would like to invite you, if you haven't already given to help with this program, to please support us to provide a safe, nurturing place within our facilities to the families that need them. And with that, we're going to wrap up the hour. We hope that we can come back to you with another program in the near future. We just keep reading the emails and the newsletters that are sent out. Lawrence, can you post on this chat one more time the site for the
Yes,
donations? Okay.
Sure. And everyone
please.
should be, if everyone should will be getting an email after this with a link for donation as well by email. And Yoav, I just wanted to ask one question. What were you saying about the pelicans eating the mosquitoes? Because I thought they ate
No,
fish.
the fish eat the mosquitoes, the pelicans eat the fish.
The fish. Oh, it's a food chain. Oh,
Yes.
I remember learning about that.
Yes.
Okay. Anyway.
So
yeah.
I'd like to thank Lawrence for being here to help me with the back office stuff, to thank Dr. Yoav Perlman, who's out in the field, the director of the Israel BirdLife Israel, which is part of SPNI, Noam and his team down at the Eilat Bird Sanctuary, or the IBRC. Thank you, Avner and Chaim, and I know you have a team of volunteers with you, Avner, over at the Neely and David Jerusalem Bird Observatory.
What's that?
What does Noam have? Let's take one last look at the bird.
Well, Lawrence, you should know by now.
It's hold on, let me see. I can't see it. Hold on. No,
we saw it already today.
Turn it round. I can't see it. No, I can't turn it round. Turn it round from this other side. It's a. Oh, is it another swallow?
Yeah, it is. Perfect. You're accepted to BirdLife Israel. And off it goes. Oops.
And I'm Alan Casal. I'm the Director of Tourism for BirdLife Israel, and we thank you for joining us, and we hope to see you again soon. Take care, everybody.
Stay safe.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.